Hey everybody, welcome back to another Vibe Coding live stream. So we're going to be working on some fun stuff today. So I have a new liquid glass app that I want to show everyone. Let's see. Okay, so here's this new liquid glass app that we're going to be working on today. So we're going to be integrating this liquid glass application with our agents backend. And let me go ahead and post this in Discord here. Let's see. Grab that link. Okay, let's put it in this Discord here. Why didn't you call? Why didn't you? Okay. Okay, cool. So this is the liquid glass. Hey Max, how are you? Let me see. Yeah, so this is this new liquid glass app that I'm going to be integrating into the agents business. And so this is going to be like a sales copilot. And this is invisible in meetings. Right now I don't have it in invisible mode, but I could go ahead and take a screenshot and it will take a screenshot of all my different desktop monitors, or I could pick a specific monitor and I'll just say, what do you see? In this project, I'm calling it Oasis by Blue Cactus. I'm doing good, Max. Thanks for joining. Happy to have you here. And I'm going to say, what do you see in the top right of the image? What do you see in the top right image, I'll say? So one of the things we're going to be working on today, so in the top right screen, I see a Chrome browser. So this is YouTube Studio Live, actually, in my top right screen. Let's see, the top left is actually old school RuneScape. So I'm going to say, what do you see? What do you see on the top left screen? Let's see here. And I'll show you, Max, I know you're new here, so I also want to show you this other product here that I've been working on. So this is the telematics video product. And this is a 3JS overlay on top of Google Maps. So this is a 3D vector map. So pretty much a telematics video. We have dash cameras in vehicles. So really any company that has a fleet of vehicles, we can help you out with a dash camera. And then we start detecting edge AI events and also doing a post analysis on different events. So we have basic mapping, right? I have, let's see, let's go to some trips here. We have trip reporting, right? So you can see these different trips. I can open up events and see DSM fatigue events, expand that event, and get a different view of this event to see the, so this is Edge AI looking for things like, it's really looking at your eyes, looking at your mouth, to see when you're yawning or when you might be distracted. So these are edge AI events. Then also events like hard brake, quick acceleration, erratic lane departure. So that's trip reporting. And then I'm going to take you to geozones, right? So we also have geozones, and this is all real time, and we're using Postgres, Postgres geospatial calculations to help us determine arrive and depart. So this is geofencing. Then we have coaching. So whenever these events come in, what I'm doing is I'm using some open source models for object detection and depth estimation. So when the events come in, I do an analysis on that event. So I'm looking for relevant objects, and then I'm trying to determine what the depth of those objects are. And really what I'm trying to do is find the frame in the video that's the most relevant frame, and then we're trying to determine how risky that event was, right? And really, is the is the driver showing a pattern of bad driving behavior? Is the driver not at fault? So I'm also using this tool to really exonerate innocent drivers too, right? So if they do get into an event or an accident, this can help us determine if it's a false event or a real event, right? So this is the video analysis, and then we have a reconstruction. So it's not a great reconstruction, but let me come here. Let's try this one. Okay, so then we have a reconstruction, and this is where I'm doing a 3D simulation or a 3D reconstruction of the event. And really, one of my ideas here is to take the objects that we find with object detection and maybe put them into this 3D scene. And then once we have those objects in the 3D scene, we can do a complete simulation of the event. And this really helps, a lot of companies, they have fleets of vehicles all over the United States, thousands of miles away. And if there ever is a serious event, this makes it easy for fleet managers to get as much context as they can. So, if they need to talk to insurance companies or talk to the police at the scene of the event, they can quickly try to determine, okay, was my driver at fault or not at fault? And then I have, thanks, Max, I appreciate that. And then I have reporting, right? So the idea here is that we start to, we detect all the objects. We know this one was a driver state monitoring distraction event. We take all of our data that we have from the edge, and then we combine that with our post analysis when we're using these open source models to do an AI analysis on the event. And we build that into a transcript or a snapshot. And then what we're trying to do is make some observations and come up with an action plan and some questions for the driver. And the idea with this is like, typically a driver would have like speeding events, and then some person that's responsible for safety would just show them the same static video on speeding over and over and over. And it's just kind of like busy work, right? Driver speeds, then he has to watch that same learning content video that he's seen 30 times. The idea with this is we're using LLMs to generate dynamic learning content for every event. So that's pretty cool. And so today, what are we going to be doing today? Let me see. So one thing I'm going to be working on is testing and preparing driver ID, scheduled reports, and calendar pagination fix to production. So here's also drivers. So every time I get into my vehicle, it takes a picture of my face. And pretty much it's trying to do face detection and determine who the driver is. If it can't find any driver matches, right, we populate it in the system here, and a manager can start to assign real human drivers to these images. So the camera doesn't know who the drivers are, but the camera is able to do this face detection, right? And so as a manager's job, if you're managing a fleet, is to link your drivers, right? So the idea is you come in here, You go to the driver directory, you add in your different drivers. So this could be like, I always go with Larry. I don't know why. Jimbo Frankie. And we'll add this guy as a driver. So now we have, well, it's Jimbo Dranky. So now when I come back to drivers, I'll have Jimbo Dranky as an option to link this driver. And so I won't do this now, but one thing I need to do is start preparing this to deploy to production. So this is a staging server. And if I come, this system is deployed on AWS EKS. So I'll just show you quickly all of the Kubernetes pods that sets up this system. So we have authentication services, Apache Kafka. So we distribute real-time data to a lot of different microservices. So we're using Apache Kafka and Zookeeper to help keep these pods synced up in case one of them goes down. And then we're also using Redis, so self-managed Redis with Sentinel. So one of these Redis pods is the master, and two of them are replicas. And so these Redis Sentinels are always keeping this these Redis pods synced. Pretty much if the master goes down, it'll promote one of those replicas to the new master, right? So this is AWS EKS, and that's how this system is deployed. Now, one thing we worked on some of the last streams is we have all these critical events. So if I come run this report, so we have all these critical events. And what we're doing now is we're including the driver in this reporting system with critical events. So if I click generate here, you can see that we are including the driver ID in this response object, right? So now we have, when we send this API request, we have the driver. So it's very important for our customers to know who the driver is so they can, cool. Yeah, Max, that's cool. I'm one of the first ones in this industry actually to have the 3D simulation event reconstruction. So I really, no one else in this space actually has this event reconstruction. And what's really cool about that is at some point, and this is where you fire off coaching. So if you did want to run coaching on one of these events, you could click this coaching button and generate the coaching. And then that coaching event will be here in the front end. And so I'm one of the only dudes right now with this reconstruction. And what's really interesting about this is eventually one day I could get the AI goggles, right? And someone who's in a completely different location, maybe if there is an event or a driver's having trouble doing navigation, you could put on these goggles and come into the 3D scene, right? Which is kind of cool. So let me see, what else did we work on? Let me come into our agents project. So again, and I'm bouncing around a little bit. So today, I'm going to be working on driver ID. We also have scheduled reports. So we have scheduled reports. So I have all of these reports. So we have idling report, stop report, critical event report. So like here's the idling report. Let's see if I've been idling for at least 4 minutes. And I haven't been moving the vehicle a lot, but let's see. Okay, so here you can see I can run an idling report, right? And so we have real-time alerts. So one thing that we do is we have you can set up idling alerts or geofence alerts, and as that, hey Jesse, hey Carter, how's it going? Happy to have you guys. I know there's a lot of new people here, so just walking through the system. So this is reporting, and you have geozone report, idling report, stop report, critical event report. And so just showing the report here. This is idling. We have alerts, right? So you can set up these different alerts to get real-time alerts when you've been speeding, if you've been idling. And we also have scheduled reports. So some of the items we're working on today is testing and preparing driver ID, scheduled reports, and calendar pagination fix to production. So I'm going to explain what that is. So again, this is driver ID. Every time I get in the vehicle, it takes a picture. And guys, bear with me. I'm going to be kind of talking through the product a lot because I know there's going to be a lot of new people today. Cool. Awesome. So anyways, every time I get in the vehicle, it takes a picture of my face and tries to do face detection. So the idea is a customer would come in and they enter in drivers into the system. And then every time a driver gets into a vehicle, it takes a picture of that driver's face. Now, the first time that this happens, if you haven't linked any drivers, all driver images will populate in the system here. And as a fleet manager, or whoever's responsible for the vehicles or the drivers, they would come in here, look at the different images and start linking drivers, right? And so what this does is every time there's events that come into the system, so let me go run event report here. Oh, let's see. Oh, let's back this up a little bit. And guys, I'm also doing pagination. So here you can see it's only showing results 1 out of 50. And there's a small issue, but the way that this is supposed to work is because this query has a heavy join operation. So what we do is every time we really only want to execute for 50 results at a time. So instead of trying to run a query for all 113 results, and I'm sure you guys understand pagination. But anyways, now when we run these critical events, we can see who the driver is for that specific event. So that's called driver ID, and the driver ID has a picture of my face. Now back to mapping, guys. So this is a telematics video platform. This is Three.js on top of Google Maps. So you can see this is a 3D object on top of a Google map. So we have basic mapping, and this is a dash camera that's doing telematics and video. So we have this dash camera. We have trip reporting. So here, if I hover over these, you can see the different trips when I've been driving around. I can select a trip and look at it, review one of the events for the trip, expand it, kind of get a different view, a larger view of that event. So here on the left, you can see, I'm not sure which event this was. I want to say it was a DSM distraction. It's because I'm looking down like that, and my left eye was closed, and my right eye was closed for 3 seconds. So at the edge, and this is all without going up and down to the cloud. At the edge, this is detecting distraction, which is pretty cool. So we have that, and we're gonna get to work here in a minute, guys. And then we've got footage, so you can request footage over the air, and the camera will return footage over the air without you having to remove an SD card. We have alerting, so real-time alerting, and this is pretty sophisticated because we have a large volume of data, but we have to keep it in sequential order. So we have alerts, we have scheduled reports. So you can, all these reports that I showed, idling, stop report, critical event report, geozone report, you can set up alerts. We also have geozones, right? So you can add geozones. And anytime vehicles go in or out of the geozone, you can get an alert. Also, this is really, I vibe coded all of this. So if you guys look at some of the previous streams, I did all of this I reviewed the code, but I didn't write the code. So you can see I integrated some open source models, object detection, depth estimation, and we're trying to determine, objects that are very close to the vehicle, or relevant objects, or objects that are important for us. And really, this is all about, determining how risky the event is, and also exonerating innocent drivers. So if there is an event, and what happens is when you have many different vehicles, tons of events come in. So this is about either determining if someone's being risky, or if they're not being risky and it's what we call a false positive, we want to make sure that no one takes disciplinary action on a driver. So again, we're doing this event reconstruction on the event, and this is moving at a relative speed. So you can see it's actually slowing down when I take this turn here. And this is Three.js. And really what's been amazing about the LLM is I have been able to improve this in a major way. And we're using a pretty sophisticated buffer, so you can come slide this and move it around quickly. Now, the idea with this is eventually to take the objects from the video and maybe start putting them on this map. So that's the 3D simulation. And so like the idea is you do this object detection in the MP4 video, you take the relevant objects and put them in the scene, and you're trying to do a crash reconstruction or an event reconstruction. And then we also have this report here. So what we do is we take a snapshot of the event, right? So driver was involved in DSM distraction event at 18 miles per hour. The following objects were detected in close proximity of the vehicle. And we need to remove, it's actually getting the seat belt. It's getting it as a handbag. And this is an open source pre-trained model. And one of the things I maybe want to start doing on this stream is trying to maybe label and annotate some data and maybe actually train a model together, which would be pretty cool. And so we're detecting all these objects, and then we try to come up with an action plan, right? So the idea with this is you come up with an action plan for the driver and also the driver coach, right? And so a shared action plan where they can both take action, review the event together, and try to take action to be safer, right? And the idea is when that fleet coach sits down with the driver will leave a signature kind of confirming that, hey, we had this session, I acknowledge there was an event, I know what I need to do moving forward. And then the coach would also leave a signature. So we have that. Then we also have this is the telematics video business, and this is kind of the primary business now, and I'm very focused on this. So one of the things I'm going to work on today is, if I pull up my to-do list, so this is a staging server, so I kind of have to start preparing to migrate the scheduled reports code, the driver ID code, and also the calendar pagination fix to production. And I'll explain that in a minute. And then also what we're going to do is add Whisper C++ into the Liquid Glass app binary. So I have this Liquid Glass app here. And let me see, let me just close it down and open it again. Okay, so this is Liquid Glass. And the idea with this is I'm going to be using it for a sales or a support copilot, right? So what's really cool about this is it can be invisible in a meeting, right? So you could have it up, a sales rep or a support rep could be on a screen sharing meeting, and they could have this up, and the person on the other end of the meeting wouldn't be able to see this, right? And so what I can do is I can take a screenshot. So this is grabbing all 4 of my monitors here, and I have RuneScape, old school RuneScape, up in my top left monitor. So first I'm going to say, what do you see? What do you see in the images? And we're going to be like building like a context awareness engine, or like pretty much like a business workflow wrapper around this, where you can upload like any relevant business documents or any relevant information for sales or support. And then we're going to pull that context into this Liquid Glass app. So pretty much a sales or support rep could have context that's relevant to them and their business and their job role. available immediately on this Liquid Glass app. And now I'm going to ask it, what do you see in the top left image? So first I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so it says in the top left pane, I see a gameplay screen that looks like old school RuneScape. So what we can do is we can go start preparing some of this stuff. So I'm going to use first, I want to show you guys one more thing. If anyone's still on here, let me go to Ghosty. Where's Ghosty? Okay, let's go into okay, so let's see. We've got I think it's actually I was inside of Cactus Liquid Glass Go. Actually, let's go to Cactus Auth. So we just built a Cactus authentication service. So I'm gonna open up Cursor, and I'm gonna see if we can get this. Interesting. Hold on. Trying to find my old chat history here for when we built this. Okay, no chats in here. Okay, here we go. Just want to make sure nothing's sensitive. Okay, here we go. Okay, I want to start the Cactus authentication service. And guys, on the last stream, what we did is I set up Git submodules. Stream proofing. William's live too. William told us to check out your live. Cool. Max, what do you mean by the stream proofing? And let me make sure I got Twitch up here too, guys. Don't miss that. Let's see. So we got Google OAuth set up. We got Redis and Postgres, so a full authentication system. Let's see if we can get this running. And I built this in Go. The reason why I'm building it in Go is, Go handles concurrency really well. It uses all of the CPU threads. The binaries are very small, and a fast cold start. The runtime is not as heavy as Node. Node can handle, I think, input and output really well. But the idea with this is I'm going to be using AWS Spot instances. I'm going to build this service in Go, and the idea is to use many different replicas. So if I come to here, you can see like this service has 3 replicas, and it uses a round robin load balancer to distribute requests to each one of these replicas. And these are all pretty much identical replicas of this service. So the idea with Go is, the Cursor plan. Yeah, I have the Ultra plan right now. And I've been using it pretty aggressively. So Cursor Ultra, and then I have the ChatGPT Plus plan for $20, and I use Codex. And in one of the previous streams, one thing I like to do is like use Cursor work trees and get multiple agents working in different work trees, and I build a plan with those agents. And I did this on the last stream. I built a plan, and then I go use Codex to go review the Cursor plans. And then after I review the Cursor plans with Codex, I kind of use Codex to help me determine, okay, which plan is the best plan, and then I'll execute on that plan. But the idea with Go is AWS Spot instances are like servers that enterprise companies are using, but they're idle. So these enterprise companies, yeah, no, I understand. So there's, I know there are some open source models. I know what Max, I don't know, but that app Cherry, I think that's Max building that. I'm kind of new to the community, but what Max is doing with Cherry, trying to integrate more open source models in Cursor, is really noble, I think, because Cursor has incentive to sell their hosted services, and so I think that open source options. I guess you have open code, and there's some other LLM frameworks where you can use different open models, but definitely, and I know there's ways to like use a base URL and plug in open source models, I think, into Cursor. I haven't done it yet. Okay, William, gotcha. Okay, so let's see if we can get this started here. Okay, service is up. Let's see. Okay, go ahead and open up the login screen endpoint. Okay, so here's our OAuth. Now, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to check in Redis and Postgres. I'm going to say, okay, I want to check what we have in our local Redis and our local Postgres. Oh, do you? Oh, yeah, you can't do it on the hobby plan? One thing I have done is I used, I think it's Llama C++. I have one of the distilled DeepSeek. Oh, hey guys. Hey, Sudo. Data Dev. A Raider. Midnight Simon. Cool. How do I... Is raiding with a party of 31. Wow. Hey guys. So, I know there's a lot of people on Twitch right now. We just got a party of 31. Pretty crazy. No. Hey, Sudo, I'm here. So we're working on a couple different products. So this is the telematics video product. It's a mapping system. So we're putting 3D objects on a Google map. And so we have telematics dash cameras in the vehicle. And I'm able to, pretty much we have telematics data or trip history, right? So you can see different events, see any of these events, or see different trips and see any events that happened on the trip. So these are events like DSM distraction. We detect events at the edge. And also we do some post analysis or AI post analysis. So we've been working on this coaching platform. And we did all of this vibe coding this without writing any code. So we're using object detection and depth estimation models to try to determine relevant objects in the scene. And then we're trying to do an analysis on that, right? So then we put together a reconstruction of the event. So this is a 3D simulation or a 3D reconstruction of that event. And this is all trying to prepare as much context as we can for a fleet safety manager. And then what we do is then we put together a report. So we determine, okay, how risky was this event? What objects were detected in this event? And then what's the action plan, right? And so the idea is to essentially try to determine, okay, was this a false positive? Is it a real or fake event? Is it a real or fake event? How risky was it? And if it was risky, we want to distribute dynamic learning content to the drivers. And we also have face detection, right? So we're doing face detection to try to determine who the driver is. And it's important for us to determine who the driver is so we can distribute learning content, right? And we also have reports, so you can see all these different critical event reports. And we're doing pagination here. So we only execute 50 results at a time against the Postgres database. So we got reporting, we've got geozones, right? So I can click on geozones. And guys, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Especially, it looks like we got a raid from someone on Twitch, which is really cool. I've never had that happen before. I don't know who this is. Midnight Simon, cool. And thank you to Midnight Simon. I really gonna go check out your streams after this. I appreciate that raid a lot. So this is geofencing, where we essentially we can send alerts for arrive and departs, which is pretty cool. So we got real-time alerts that you can set up for speeding, events, right? Geozones. And then we also have scheduled reports. So we can run these reports on a schedule. And so you can receive a weekly report on a schedule. So this is telematics video, and really excited about that. And then also another item we're working on right now is this is the Liquid Glass app. So we got the telematics video business, and then we also have the agents business. So what this is this is a Liquid Glass app overlay that's invisible in meetings, right? So what I can do, and we're going to be integrating this with the agents business. So this is going to be like a sales and support copilot. And we're going to really try to like build the knowledge repository of business information stored in that repository, and use some sort of embeddings model maybe to embed chunks. And then a sales and support agent could do a couple things. They could stream in audio from a meeting or a phone call, and in real time we can use whatever embeddings or business data that they have available, or whatever context that they have available, and use that context to help surface like relevant insights for them in real time, to help them on a sales call or help them with a support request. So really, really cool stuff actually. And what I'm showing now is, let's go back to cursor. Okay, so this is the OAuth, and I'm going to show what we did on OAuth. First, we're going to check the Postgres. So here's what's in Postgres. So I'm already in Postgres here. Let me run this. Here's the account in Postgres, and here's the session in Redis. So I'm about to ask the agent. We're going to figure out how this works here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna explain. Okay, explain the full flow of this Google OAuth service, and explain how it's stateless and ready to be deployed on AWS Spot instances. And explain why Go is a good language for this type of deployment. And thanks again, everyone from Twitch. And thanks to Midnight Simon. Okay. Okay, so the important part about this, so this is the way the authentication service works. Let's see. Okay, for now, just give me bullets. Just give me bullets of how it works, right? So we do Google OAuth, Google returns the access token and the refresh token, and then walk through how we create the new account into Postgres and how we put the session into Redis. Then what I'm going to do is just as demonstration, so I can show you guys, this is the authentication service, and I just want to kind of show you guys how we built this and why we built it the way we built it. Really cool. This is awesome that Midnight Simon did that. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is kind of the way that the authentication service works. So the user clicks sign in with Google, right? And this is Google OAuth. So I was able to go into the Google Cloud Console, set up a web client, and get this Google OAuth set up. So the browser hits this endpoint, and then generates a random state. And then it looks like we save this state to Redis. Users redirected to Google's consent screen, right? Then Google's returning an authorization code to us, right? And then what we do is Go calls Google's token endpoint with code. And so then Google is going to return two different tokens to us, an access token and a refresh token. And then, let's see, get user info from Google. So then we call this Google API with the access token, and we get some more information about this user, right? And then what we do is we create or fetch an account in Postgres. So the whole idea with this is a new customer, a new logo can come in, sign in with Google, and then we can, if they don't have an account already, we can go ahead and immediately set them up with an account. And so then we insert it into Postgres. And then we create a session in Redis, right? And so, and then we set the cookie. And so when we have users in our web app, making calls from the front end web app to the back end, we're going to be using cookies, right? And we're going to store that cookie in the browser, right? But say we have, we're also going to be exposing an API. And when we're exposing an API, we want to use short-lived JWT tokens for that. So we're using a combination of access tokens, refresh token, JWT token, and also cookies, right? And so what's really cool is now we're not storing any state in this application at all. It's completely stateless, right? And so that means what we can do is when we do deploy on Kubernetes, right, and we deploy it on AWS Spot instances, we can set up replicas, right? And so we have many different replicas of a service. Then we have a round robin load balancer that sits in front of that, and it will distribute those requests to different services. And the idea is because it's stateless, we can interrupt that workflow or interrupt that workload. So the idea is that some big enterprise company has a bunch of servers. Those servers are idle. And they're not being used. So AWS will rent those servers out to us for a lower cost. And this is my first time working with AWS Spot instances. And so we're gonna be learning together, but pretty much an enterprise, AWS will rent out that server to you for a lower cost. But the catch is that they will take that server back from you at any point, right? If there's some high demand or whoever the enterprise company is that has some big volume all of a sudden, AWS will rip that service away from you. So you got to have a service that's stateless, so no state is in the memory of the service, and the service can be interrupted and rescheduled on different servers at any point. So the idea with Go is that the Go service has very small binaries, and faster cold start, and also it has great concurrency. And from what I understand, it uses all the threads on the CPU, whereas like a framework like Node, I believe is just spinning up one thread, and you got to do a lot of asynchronous stuff to keep that event loop open. And for new developers, that at least that I've worked in, interns, less experienced developers, if you don't understand asynchronous and how to use promises and chaining promises, especially if you have a high volume of data and it needs to stay in sequential order, that can get complicated. And the node runtime is heavier, and at least that's my understanding. And so Go handles concurrency better. And also with Node, if you write some blocking code and you block the event loop, and you don't understand like asynchronous stuff on a deep level, that can be very problematic. And so with Go, from what I understand, it's not a true one-to-one mapping to the operating system thread. So it handles concurrency, but I don't think that you can actually block a CPU thread. I know in Java, I think you can. I think Java has a one-to-one mapping. And if you're not super familiar with Java, you could start blocking those threads. And if you spin up too many threads, the JVM gets heavier and heavier. Anyway, so that's the thinking behind using Go. Because again, we can interrupt the workload, keep it stateless, and it's a small binary and very fast. So again, this whole service is set up. Google OAuth, and I'm gonna say, okay, go ahead and query Redis and Postgres again. I just want to show what's in there, and then we're gonna delete it and run through the whole flow again. Guys, I'm using Opus right now, but usually I like to use Gemini 3 Pro until I hit some sort of limitation. Let's see. Okay, so here we have a session in Redis. We just there we go. And guys, please follow. It helps a lot. Okay. So here we go. So this is what's in Postgres right now. We have an ID, my organization, and all of this, we did all of this just from Google OAuth. And then, so we have an organizations table and then an accounts table. So just from doing this Google OAuth, we set up an organization and we set up an account, right? And then let's see what's in Redis. And then we stored a session in Redis. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to go delete this data out of Postgres, and we're going to run through the flow together again. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yes, I want to clear Redis and Postgres. Yes, let's clear Redis and Postgres, and then I'm going to go through the full flow again. Nice, so we just got the data out of Redis and Postgres. Nice, okay, so now let's go through the flow. So again, I'm gonna click sign in with Google. Takes me to the Google authentication screen. And you know what, before we do this, can you open up the logs of this service? After I authenticate with Google, I just wanna see what's printing to the log. Is there any relevant information in the log? Hey, see you, Max. I missed that message, but enjoy the food. Can you open and follow the logs? Okay, nice. So it tailed the log, and -f is to follow the log. Okay, cool. Here we go. Nice. So authentication successful. Okay, I just completed authentication. Tell me what printed to the log, but don't expose anything sensitive. And we could just look at the log by opening up the terminal. So here's the log right here. It looks like we're actually not printing anything to the log. So I'll still ask. Okay, so it printed nothing. Now I'm going to say, okay, I want you to now check Redis and Postgres and tell me what data is in Redis and Postgres. Beautiful. So here's Redis. Beautiful. And then here's Postgres. So we, just from that authentication with Gmail, we set up an organization and we set up an account. So pretty cool stuff here. Now, what I'm going to do is, let's see. So just got finished showing you guys the authentication service. Let's go back to our to-do list. I'm going to start preparing this driver ID. Or first, let's take a look at this. I just want to explain this to you guys, this calendar pagination fix on the other system. So let's take a look at this. So let's open up the code for this system here. And guys, I know we're bouncing around here, but let's see. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if I can find my pagination. Shift tab to switch back into agent mode. And let's skip this for now. Okay, so what determination did we make about pagination? There's an issue with the pagination, right? So let me open up PG admin too. So this is to see all SQL queries. Let's see. Okay. The problem, current behavior, the SQL fetches all events from the entire month, which is crazy. When a request a 1-month report with limit 50, the SQL query fetches all events for the entire month, no limit in SQL. So let me say, okay, which files do I need to look at? I'm on live stream. I want to show the SQL query in the join operation. Hey, Midnight Simon. And that was the first raid, guys, which is pretty cool. So let's see here. So, okay, so here we go. So here's the query. So pretty much we're querying two different tables. And I'm going to say, give me the query in a format so I can execute it in pgadmin. So here's the actual query. So when I run the report, let's come to the report. Let's inspect. So this is so this returns 113 rows here. This return object. Now the issue with this is technically it returned all 113, but true pagination would only return only the 50 results that we see on the screen, and that's so we don't execute these very expensive, heavy queries. So, excuse me. So let's go back to cursor. Let's grab this query. And I'm just curious, just want to put it in pgadmin. Interesting. Oh, that's 2024. Okay, make the timestamps 2026. And thanks again for everyone that's in here from Midnight Simon's stream. Thanks for being here. Okay, so let's run this query. Interesting. That timestamp must be... Hold on. Let's do January 1st to 21st. That's probably why. Oh. Here are the timestamps. I'm gonna say use these timestamps. Use these timestamps. Provide the query again. And guys, I need to let me go to the bank right quick in RuneScape. I just need to get by some trees and start chopping some trees here. Okay, so let's try to get to some trees quickly. Kilo code, cool. I'm just gonna get my skills necklace and go to the woodcutting guild here. Skills necklace, and let's rub. Cool. All right, as soon as we get to some trees here, we'll start. Okay, here we go. All right, cool. So let's try to run this query now. And really, I'm just trying to see how expensive this query is. And the problem is the table is not as big as on the production system. So it's not super expensive right now, but I just want to see if I can get this to work here. Interesting. Oh, your account ID here. Okay. That's okay. I'm just going to say for now, I'm going to say what I want to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm just trying to figure out how expensive this query is. One of these tables gets very big on the production system, and so I know these join operations can be kind of heavy. Give me the Postgres command to look at the Postgres activity so I can see the last query and see how expensive it was. Leftover. No, I'm not making a game. I'm just I'm just AFK, just chopping some wood on RuneScape. See currently running queries. Okay, I want to see what's the command to see the last query. Okay, here we go. So here's the query to see Postgres activity. Let's just go into PG admin. Let's run this query. Oh, hold on. I see the results. Okay, let's try to... Hold on. Honestly, we don't need to necessarily see this, I guess. So you're making like an AFK farm script? No. So I'm working on a couple different things. So this is a telematics video business. And right now, just while the agent's working, I like to do AFK wood chopping in old school RuneScape. So I know it's a bit confusing, but I'm not working on the game. At some point, I have a plan to start working with RuneLite, the open source framework, and maybe make a plugin. But right now, we're working on this telematics video safety product. So we have dash cameras in vehicles. We can see the location of all vehicles. I can see these are 3D objects on top of a Google map. We can look at like trip position history, so I can see all different trips. Look at these different trips. The camera detects edge events at the edge, and also we do like some post analysis on those events to try to determine if they're false positives or real events. So like here you can see this is a DSM distraction event. I can expand it if I want to. I can kind of take a closer look at this. So this is AI at the edge on a camera, looking for like when eyes close, when your mouth is closed, when you get distracted or fatigued, if you're using your phone or not. So these are events that the camera records. And then what we do with these events is we're trying to build a coaching platform. And so I was able to vibe code all of this without, reviewing the code line by line. So what we do is after we trigger these events, or we trigger events like hard turn, hard acceleration, erratic lane departure, shock, severe shock, distraction, fatigue, phone use, cigarette use, stuff like that. And then we use object detection and depth estimation models to look for relevant objects in the scene. And so we're trying to determine, okay, is this a false positive or is this a real event or not? And guys, please like and subscribe and follow if you haven't already. It helps a lot. It pushes out the content to more people. So this is kind of the analysis of the video event. And then after we do that, we build a reconstruction. So this is actually a 3D simulation of the event. So pretty cool here. The idea with this is once we start determining relevant objects, we can start putting those objects into the 3D scene. And the idea is that, anyone who's managing the safety of the vehicles, they may, anyone who's managing the safety of the vehicles pretty much, like a vehicle may get into some sort of event and they're 1,000 miles away, and that safety manager needs to make some really fast, important, real-time decisions. They may need to have a conversation with the police. They may need to have a conversation with the insurance company. And so we're really trying to provide as much context as we can to try to give them context of what happened in the event. Do we think we were at fault? Was the other party at fault? Then we're trying to build this simulation to recreate it. Oh yeah, so the Ultra plan on Cursor is $200, which I know is pricey. And then I'm paying for BugBot, which is also $40. So about $240 on Cursor. And then I'm paying for ChatGPT Plus, which gives Codex and also the Atlas browser. And really with Codex, they give you a lot of requests for that $20. So that's been pretty good. So that's kind of my workflow. I use Cursor and Codex. Now, one thing you could do with the Cursor plan is if you get like the $20 plan or even the hobby plan, you could bring an API key from Anthropic or OpenAI and plug it into Cursor. And that's a way where you can just pay for Claude or pay for OpenAI and then bring your API key. Now, Cursor, they do give you some extra usage, right? So if you pay like $60, they give you $70 of usage. If you pay $200, you get $400 of usage. So they'll bundle in some extra usage, but if you're not careful, those Cursor tokens do burn fast. Hey, J35, happy to have you here. So just walking through the app, kind of what I'm working on. So I've got this telematics video, and we have a lot of new people here. We got rated on Twitch too. So again, we have this is telematics video. And sorry guys, for anyone that's been through this like 5 times, I apologize. But just want to make sure all new people kind of know what I'm working on. But this is telematics video. We have a dash camera in the vehicle, and it detects events at the edge, and also we're doing post analysis on events. So this is actually Three.js on top of Google Maps. So here you can see this is actually a 3D object on top of Google Maps. So we have a basic location. We have like trip reporting here. So if I click generate again, we can see all the trips. When we hover over them, it highlights the trips. I can open up these different trips, look at events that happened on these trips. And so like here I can look at this event. Let's switch to me. So here's an event where we got a distraction at the edge. And it's because I kind of looked down there, my left eye closed for a bit, my right eye closed for a bit. And so what we're doing is we take that video and then we're building a coaching platform. So we're using open source object detection and depth estimation models to detect objects in the scene, try to detect the depth. And I was able to do this vibe coding this, which is pretty cool. So I was able to pretty much, we're trying to find relevant objects in the scene. I'm trying to find the most important frame in the video. And then I'm trying to make a determination, okay, is this a false positive? Because in this business, because the camera has an accelerometer in it, it's also doing edge AI, but there is false positives. And you never want someone taking disciplinary action against a driver for an event that's a false positive, right? So really the idea with this is we're trying to determine, okay, what are the relevant objects in the frame? How close were they to the vehicle? And then use other context to try to determine, is this a super risky event or not? Or is it a false positive? And then what we do is then we build a reconstruction of that event. So this is a 3D simulation that's moving at a relative speed. And the idea with this is that pretty much if an event happens and you're a fleet manager and an event happens like on the other side of the United States, you're able to kind of review the event and get some context quickly before you have to talk maybe to the police or talk to the insurance company. Then what we do is then we build a report. So I give, okay, what's the safety focus of this event? And what's the event snapshot, right? So here's the event snapshot. Driver was involved in DSM distraction at this speed. And this is data I'm getting at the edge from the camera, right? Then I go and detect all the different objects in the scene. Then I'm building an action plan, right? So an action plan for the coach and for the driver. And the idea with this is it's dynamic. And so this is different for every different event. And the idea is, okay, if we identify some risky patterns, start distributing learning content. Ooh, hey J35. No, I've actually helped people get H-1B visas. So I've worked with a lot of engineers that are from India, and they love cricket, right? So that's really interesting. And hey, leftover. Yeah, so this is the staging server. I'm making money from this business. We have a decent amount of customers. So this is what's allowing me to be able to do this right now. And I have a pretty healthy, steady income from this business. And I kind of started as like a business guy, a reseller, selling software and selling technology. And we built a product portfolio of different technology that we sold. And, I kind of, I saw that video was going to be a big deal and going to be important. And so we decided to build out this platform, this video telematics platform. So in the past, there'd always been a separate GPS tracker and a separate camera. So you would need two pieces of hardware. And they were two pieces of hardware pretty much in the vehicle. And now you have the camera is able to do the GPS tracking too. And so I was able to see, okay, telematics video is going to be kind of the next thing in this space. And so I decided to build out this platform. And so I've worked with experienced engineers, interns, done many different capstone projects with local colleges around here. So I've worked with all different types of people at all different types of skill levels. And that's kind of how I got my experience and learned what I know. And that's kind of why I almost felt an obligation to try to return the knowledge. So anyway, so this is the driver coaching worksheet. Now we also have an agents business. And this is something I've been working on for the agents business. So this is liquid glass. Yeah, so I'm using YOLO J35 for object detection. I'm using an Intel model for depth. That's what I'm using right now. And I need to review that again. But my idea is, I kind of want to carve out the video object detection and maybe release that service maybe under GPL license 3.0. And also my plan is to release this liquid glass under GPL 3.0. But the idea is, I don't know, to try to build a framework around anybody that has video data. They can put inputs in, we can ingest video, and then spit out the object detection, right? And maybe like build some sort of protocol around that and define some schema, right? Of inputs coming in and outputs, and then open source that one piece, but open source that and put it behind a network layer. So, because I know that GPL 3, I need to keep some services not open source. But maybe get just this object detection, release it under GPL 3.0, and then have the network layer separating my microservices that I'm not able to open source, that has more of like my proprietary business logic. So that's kind of DGX Spark, cool. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that today. Another vibe coding streamer, I think his name's Ray Fernando, who has some really great content. He was like opening up the DGX. I was like, man, that's cool. So then I have Liquid Glass, right? So this Liquid Glass, and I have a full voice agent right now where I integrated Twilio, Deepgram. I did the chained architecture, right, where I'm doing speech to text and then text to speech, and the services are separated. So I got like I got Twilio, then I've got I forget what I'm using. I built it a while ago, but it's like AWS Poly, I think, for text to speech. I think I was using maybe Deepgram for speech to text. Then I had an orchestration layer trying to do intent classification with embeddings, and then trying to determine intent and change the flow of the conversation. But there was some latency in this chained architecture with voice. Now the idea is I want to now OpenAI has this new real-time voice layer where they're handling speech to text and text to speech and tool calling. I think one model's doing all of that. So I'm like kind of thinking, okay, I want to separate out that voice layer and use this new OpenAI real-time voice layer, and separate out the voice layer and then have my business orchestration logic and try and see if we can improve the latency. Now, one of the products that I'm going to be integrating with this agent stuff is, and I know, hold on, sorry, I know I'm all over the place, but I want to show you one more thing. So that was coaching before I jumped to the agent stuff. This was coaching. And then I have driver ID too, right? So anytime a driver goes into a vehicle, it takes a picture of their face. And then it stores it in a storage system. Then the next time the driver gets in, takes another picture of the driver's face and tries to match those faces, right? Now, if we can't get a match, we'll post these pictures here. And so the idea is a customer comes into the driver directory. They add their drivers. Like I could add J35 as a driver. I don't know if your name, I'm just going to add Justin, I don't know if I'm spelling it right, but Bieber. And I'm going to add Justin Bieber as a driver. Now, if I come back to drivers, the idea would be, say I have a new guy get into the truck for the first time. It would take a picture of his face, populate it here, and then me as the person that's running the company with the fleet of vehicles, I would come in and link these drivers, right? So like I could come in and link one of these drivers to Justin Bieber and click link driver, and boom, now that driver's linked, right? And so now every time that driver gets into that vehicle, now we know, okay, that driver is Justin Bieber. And so pretty much the face detection, if it sees the same face, it'll send us the same ID. And that ID now is linked to Justin Bieber. So that's driver ID. Now back to the agents. And guys, on the next stream, I'll probably do a lot more coding. But for now, just trying to explain everything to everyone. So now this is this new Liquid Glass that I'm going to be using as a sales and support copilot. And here I was able to take a screenshot of all the different screens. And then it told me what it can see on these different screenshots. Then I said, what do you see in the top left image? And it told me it saw old school RuneScape. So the idea with this is I'm going to have a repository with your business context. And in real time, and I'm going to embed the Whisper C++ package into this binary. And so then you can take in audio from a phone call, from the computer microphone, from Chrome, from the browser, right? And start doing transcription. And then we can surface insights on the fly or help you take meetings of a note. But really what I'm interested in is surfacing insights on the fly for a sales or support rep. And then So now if I come back to cursor, let's see. So this is, we started building the authentication service. We started building this authentication service, and we built it in Go. And right now the service is completely stateless. We're ready to deploy it on AWS Spot instances using replicas. We're using Redis, and we're using Postgres. So if you do the OAuth, we get your refresh token and your access token. And then we push a organization and an account into Postgres, and we push a session into Redis. So this is OAuth, and so we built this in Go, and also this liquid glass service is also in Go and Wales. And so really one thing I was going to do today and was start thinking about integrating Whisper C++ into this solution so we can start doing transcription or start listening to the computer microphone. So now bouncing around here, just wanted to show you, but okay, let's go back to here. So now another item that I'm working on is on reports. If I come to critical event report, so this reporting is supposed to be doing pagination. And here you can see this is how we're including the driver that we link in the event reporting. So we can determine who the driver is, right? But down here you can see that we're only showing 1 of 50 rows. So this is only supposed to be executing a query for 50 results at a time. No, I haven't. I've heard of convex, but I'm not exactly sure what it does yet. Right now, this is the way that my system is built out. So this is all running on AWS EKS. So we have a lot of real-time data that comes in that has to remain in sequential order, because a lot of these alerting services like idling or geozone are speeding. It's very important that the data stays in order. And what's actually really interesting is we're able to build this service in Node using async and promises to keep the event loop open, right? So I have a lot of real-time data coming in, and so we ingest that data, and then we're using Apache Kafka. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Apache Kafka, but we're using Apache Kafka brokers to help distribute this real-time data to the different microservices. And then I'm doing self-managed Redis also. And let me see if I can. And these services are running on these node groups. So right now I'm still doing like the firecracker approach. And I'm using on the production system, I use Grafana and Prometheus to kind of watch the node groups, and if there's high utilization or memory pressure or CPU pressure, I'll scale up the node group. So it's not full serverless right now, and that's one of the things I'm thinking about here too is, okay, are we going to go full serverless with AWS ECS and Fargate, or are we going to do AWS Spot instances? And kind of thinking about those two things. And so right now, the way I think about it is, okay, for anything that's control plane or that has business logic, I'm going to use JavaScript, TypeScript, like TypeScript frameworks, because our Node, because everything, like the ecosystem of JavaScript has tons of open source packages, React, Node, right? And so it's easy to kind of glue things together. But anything that's data plane, that's handling large volume of data and needs like asynchronous concurrency, Or maybe I need to deploy it on AWS Spot instances with replicas. I'm going to be using Go. And that's really one of the coolest things about, to me about AI is I would have never in a million years even thought about migrating some of these node services to Go. Just because I'm not familiar with Go, I've never worked with Go. But it made it incredible. LLM, it makes it incredibly easy to say, hey, refactor this service from Node to Go. And so that's been awesome. But yeah, I mean, I've learned a ton about Kubernetes. Managing. So I manage this in a production system that has a lot of cameras in the field. And like one of the hardest things that I learned is Redis. And I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you guys know what Redis is or not, but it's pretty much memory storage, right? A key value memory storage. So you've got the SQL, which is like a relational storage. Then you've got a key value storage, and then you've got like NoSQL storage. And remember guys, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I know enough to be dangerous. But anyway, so this key value storage, we store a key value in it. Yeah, possibly. Now, my only thing is like right now with this service, if I come, so what I'm doing right now, like my only thing is I need to be able to manage like the JWT tokens. Whoa, cursor's moving. Never seen it move this slow. Oh, here we go. But so I need to be able to manage, like my idea with the agents business, I'm going to be exposing an API. So when I expose the API, my idea is I need to be able to generate short-lived JWT tokens. And I also want to be able to manage sessions too, right? So like I need to be able to maybe log out a single user, right? By maybe building some administration screen to use Redis and just remove that session out of Redis to log that single user out if like they don't pay the bill or they're abusing the API or something. And so I'm open to looking into Convex. I pretty much already built out the Go OAuth system. So I'm gonna say, hold on, let's make sure. Okay, that's good. Okay, show me what's in Postgres and Redis again. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so like when I do OAuth, what it does is when I sign in with Google OAuth, it immediately puts in a session into Redis, and then it puts in a organization into the Postgres org table, and it puts a record into the accounts table. So just with OAuth, and let me say, delete this data again from Postgres and Redis, and I'm going to go through the flow again. Okay, so we just deleted the data out of Postgres and Redis. So now if I refresh the screen here and I click sign in with Google, and here you can see data's out of Redis, data's out of Postgres. If I do sign in with Google, it takes me to here. click Robert Blue Cactus, and then I click allow, and boom. So now we have authentication. Okay, check Redis and Postgres again. So now you can see, boom. So we got the Redis session in Redis, and we got the organization and the account in Postgres. So the setup that I'm familiar with is using Kubernetes manifest to deploy a Redis stateful set, self-managed. And then I usually host Postgres on RDS, and keep all of it inside of the same VPC is kind of the idea. Now what I do want to do is, okay, now back to, just wanted to show you that. So I'll look into Convex J35, definitely. I'm interested in that. I've been hearing a lot, about a lot of companies are kind of putting wrapper around Postgres, right, because there's a lot of people vibe coding, and the authentication and security is challenging. And so I know that there's a lot of tools, like you mentioned, like Convex, where it makes that a lot easier, right? So definitely interested in that, for sure. So again, back to pagination. So what's happening right now is, explain what we're doing in the application code, because we usually have one record in event data table and then many records in the event media table. So explain what we're doing in the Java application code. Whisperflow is moving a little slow today. And guys, please follow and like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Helps push this content out to more people. Today I did a lot of talking, but hopefully on the net, I just wanted to try to explain what we're doing, because I know we have lots of new people here today. But we're definitely gonna get kind of grinding, ramp up the grinding a bit more here. So right now I'm using Opus inside a Cursor. The IDE is nice because sometimes, it is nice for me. I do read the code sometimes, and I'm really familiar with VS Code. So I like, right now I'm using a combination of Cursor and Codex. And so what I actually did, what was pretty cool on the last stream, is I use Git submodules, and this is kind of interesting too. But I have I just want to show this. So I have a multi, I have a multi-repo setup. So, one thing that I do have is I've worked with a lot of different engineers over the years, and normally I have different microservices and they're all in different repositories. And so to be able to use Cursor work trees, the parent directory has to be a repo, right? And a lot of people have mono repos, right, where all the code is in one repository. But that's not good for me, because I, sometimes I'll hire people and I need them to just see that one microservice. And so I set up all these different submodules, right? And so what was pretty cool is I'm able to keep a multi-repo setup, but still run work trees inside of this main parent directory, Blue Cactus AI. But anyways, what my workflow is now is sometimes I will, and let me see if I can find it. Let's see. It was the OAuth. Let's see. Huh. Let's see if it's in the OAuth service. 1 second. Go. Really interesting. I don't see it in here. Cooked it. OAuth. Let's see. I just want to show you the workflow I was using, but let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I can't find it now. It's okay. But pretty much what we did, if I can, let's see. Let's CD into cursor. Just want to kind of explain my, wait. Okay. Okay, so my strategy right now is what I do is I build work trees, and this is only if I have to do a really complicated refactor or I'm doing something complicated, right? And what I'll do is I will use cursor work trees. And then I use a different model in each one of the work trees. And then I build plans from each model. And then I save those plans to the workspace. They call it saving it to the workspace. And then what I'll do is I'll say, hey, Codex, I want you to review the plans for the Cactus Go refactor and tell me which plan you think has the best approach. Whisper Flow must have some resource things going on. I want you to review the cursor plans and let me know which one you think has the best approach. But anyways, on the last stream, I went and did all of this. And what was fascinating is Codex picked the GPT 5.2 extra high plan. And I don't know if it picked that plan because it was really the best plan, if it was better than Opus and the Gemini plan, or if it picked it because it kind of it was able to tell the tonality came from the same model or something. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of fascinating. So I'll have it go in and read all of these plans, and then I'll take and let's see what it says. They're the markdown files inside of cursor plans. So then Codex will give me like a recommendation. Okay, go with this plan, right? And then at that point, I review the plan myself. And this is where I'm kind of using multiple models to do sanity check, right? anyways, so that's kind of my workflow. And I guess to answer your question again, you know, no particular reason that I haven't used Claude Code yet. But I've heard a lot of great things about it, but I guess you know, it's really advantageous for me to be able to use many different models inside of Cursor for sure. One cool thing is, I don't know if you guys have seen this, you get this with the $20 OpenAI plan, is Atlas. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Atlas, but I can, and I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but if I come into, but I mean, I'm getting Codex and all of this functionality with Atlas, which is, I mean, with the OpenAI $20 plus plan. And so what I can do is, it's kind of amazing, but I can go into agent mode here and say, I want you to assume the identity of a sales rep and do a demo of this platform. I don't know if you guys have seen so J35, the way that I'm thinking about it right now is Codex for me, the Codex CLI is the best at debug. Opus, if I'm working on production and I need to be precise and fast, Opus. Gemini 3 Pro is the best at front end. But there's some sort of resource issues. Like I get that message a lot that the model provider is having challenges. But I have also found that Gemini is the best at big system thinking and abstraction. So if you really need to think about microservices and complex architecture for larger systems, Gemini has been impressive. What are the other models? Composer 1, very comprehensive and fast, incredibly fast, but it kind of goes off the rails. GPT 5.2, extra high, I think is the best at like deep reasoning. And also the Gemini models seem to be pretty good at reasoning. But the Codex model is really good at reasoning for sure. And guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. So this is pretty cool. This is Atlas, and this shows you the power of because I use Claude Code, and sometimes when I want to use other model, I use GLM models a lot, so I use Claude Code Router. Really cool, nice. Yeah, I know Osiris. I don't know if you're familiar with Osiris, but I know Osiris is doing a lot of cool things with open models and Cursor. But that's really cool. I'm running one of the DeepSeek distilled models. It's the Llama 8 billion parameter model on one of my MacBook Pros with, I think, Llama C++ framework. And honestly, that was pretty smart. Okay, so anyway, so that's Atlas. You get Atlas also with this. And what's kind of cool about this is, say that like I needed to YOLO hugging face, or say I go to some website and I want to understand more about, let's go to it doesn't matter which link I click. So let's just say I have some questions about the information on this page. I can click ask, and this is not like an ad for OpenAI. I just think this is cool. But I can say, can you explain this model to me? Let's make sure agent mode's off. Or can you explain the information on this web page? Now you need to be really careful with this because you can get that prompt injection, right? Which is for sure an issue. But I can say, can you explain the information on this web page? And so say like I'm looking at some node package. Oop, hold on. Say that I'm working on some node package that I don't understand, or there's some API that I don't understand. You know, Atlas is kind of cool to pull up the agent here, and you can start asking questions about the information on the web page, and I'm getting all that for 20 bucks, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so back to pagination. All right, let's come back here. Let's go to Get Party. Switch to Gemini. Let's switch to Gemini Pro real quick. And again, so part of my issue, at first we'll have it explain it here. Let's see. Command Option E. Boom. Okay. So here's my issue, is that like I have on this critical event report, we have two different tables. So if I pull up Postgres, so we have two different tables. One of them is called event data. So I'll just show you what event data table looks like. Limit 10. Okay, so every time there's an event, let's just say, let's just limit 50, so we can try to, it's going to be all, I'm going to say order by, just want to find a different, I know I have this query up here, hold on. As, okay, here's a, let's try this one. Sometimes these queries, I keep them commented here. Okay, so this is querying both tables for these events, DSM distraction and DSM fatigue. So what happens is pretty much the event comes in and it puts one record in this event data table. And then each one of the reports, critical event report. And then what we do is each one of these events, so like here's an event, but each one of the events has different media. And so like that media is inside of the event media row. And the way that it works is sometimes these cameras, they have multiple channels, right? So they have like one camera could have 4 channels, or one camera could have 8 channels, and that'd be 8 different media URLs or 4 different media URLs. And so we have one record in the event data table, and then later we get all the media URLs. And so we take those media URLs and we put those records into the event media table, right? And so, but what's happening is, let me come back to cursor, is, so this is what this, and this is a Java service, Spring Boot. And at the time we just built this service in Java because I was working with engineers that were familiar with Java. And guys, please imagine using AI to make new AI. That'd be funny. Hey, Josh. So what this does is, since one event in event data can have multiple rows in event media, the SQL query returns duplicate event rows, one for each media file, right? So you've got an event, and so like here's the same event, and this event could have an interior MP4, a rear MP4, or a front MP4. And so what this does is it loops through. So when I run that report, it hits the backend service. And let me just drop off this wood, guys. Hey, Lukita. I'll tell you. And anyone that's heard me kind of go through this, bear with me. And at some point, we'll figure out a better way to do this. But just really quickly, Lukita, this is our telematics video product. So we have dash cameras in vehicles. We have a mapping system. This is a 3D map with a 3D object on top of the map. We have trip reporting, right? So we can see the trip history of vehicles. Select a specific vehicle. We can click on events and look at these events. So the camera's recording events at the edge. So looking for things like fatigue, distraction, phone use, cigarette, hard brake, quick acceleration, erratic lane departure, shock, severe shock. And then what we're doing is we're starting to do a AI analysis on these events, right? So we're using object detection and depth estimation models to do an AI analysis review of the events. And so we're looking for relevant objects, trying to determine how risky the event is. And then we're building a reconstruction of that event, trying to build a event reconstruction of that event. And I have some really cool ideas for the future of this 3D simulation and some really powerful stuff that we can do with it. And then we build a report, right? So then we put together and I got to look into why that's happening, but then we put together a snapshot. So the driver was involved in an event. These were the objects that were detected. And then we come up with an action plan. And this is like a learning content so we determine, okay, is the driver, was he at fault or not at fault? Is it a false positive or is it a highly risky event? If it's a highly risky event, then we start to distribute dynamic learning content to the driver in real time, right? And the idea with this is maybe predicting based off of some heuristics or some sort of rules, both deterministic and generative, trying to determine, okay, what could possibly happen in the future, right? And so the idea is kind of get in front of potential problems by distributing learning content to drivers. And what's cool about this, it's dynamic. So it's not going to be like the same repetitive question over and over and over for that driver. So this is the document. So we're working on that. And then we're also working on an agent's business. So one of the products that we're working on now is this liquid glass. And let me just exit out of this and then open this back up. So this is liquid glass. And this is we have an agent's business pretty much. So I've integrated a voice agent, and we might not get to it on this stream, but we're refactoring our voice agent. It's going to be a voice, SMS, and chat. And this is not, these are like miniature employees. And they're really meant to be really an assistant and keep the human in the loop. But the idea with this is a sales or support copilot. So it's a liquid glass overlay. And what we're going to do is, set up like a context awareness engine around simple business workflows for sales and support reps, right? So the idea is like a sales guy. You've got PDF documents that he gives customers with pricing information on it. You've got support documentation to help him handle support objections. You've got, all types of sales and all types of internal documentation that's relevant to him. So like he might be on the customer of someone and they start asking him specific questions about the product that he might not be familiar with. So what we want to do is build like a context engine where inside of this liquid glass overlay, we can surface insights to this sales and support representative and surface these insights at the right time. So right now, this is kind of what that looks like. And so I can take a picture of my monitors here, and then I can say, what do you see in the top right and the top left monitor? And I'm playing old school RuneScape in the top left monitor. So you can see it's about to respond to me. The top left monitor is showing old school RuneScape. Now, I did a ton of talking on this stream, so not sure if we'll get to it today, but definitely we'll get to it tomorrow, if not today. But I'm going to be integrating Whisper C++, one of the smaller models, the Whisper C++ models. And thanks, Lupita. And please, guys, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps a lot. It helps push out the content to new people. But the idea is integrate Whisper C++ into this. Try to keep the binary as small as we can. And then here we can take in information from audio, right? Audio, it could be a phone call. It could be the browser audio coming straight off the browser. And then we can do transcription. And all this transcription with a local Whisper model is happening locally. And then we can run that, use that transcription, run it against our intent classification or our embeddings, right? Where we take the business PDFs and we embed them, and then try to, based off of the intent or based off of the transcript, surface the right insights at the right time. And that's kind of the idea with that. So that's what we're working on. Now, right now, what we're immediately working on is pagination. So pagination is, and if you're not familiar with pagination, really what it is if I go run a report for a large date range, and on the production system, a month worth of data, depending on how many vehicles that customer has, could be a ton of data, right? And so the idea is when I generate this, when I can see 1 out of 50 rows here. And so this service, this component makes an API call to the backend service, but that API call should only get 50 results from the database and return those 50 results to the front end. And then when I click this arrow, now I see 51 of 100. It should go fetch another 50 results. And if I click the arrow again, then it should go fetch another 50 instead of fetching all 142 at the same time. And so right now, our code is not doing that. So right now we loop through every SQL, every row, and we check if the current event ID equals the last event ID. Then we know, yes, same event. Just append the media URL to the previous event's media list. And so this is where we have cameras that have multiple media. It's because there's like 4 cameras. You mount them underneath the mirrors. You mount them on the fenders. You have driver facing out the road. You can do rear camera. And so like one event, so one hard break event can have many different event media URLs. So what we do is on the front end to get, because like when and this is not a camera with many different URLs, but like when let's find so like here you can see there's actually 2 media videos for this one event. And so when we return this data to the front end, we return, okay, this is the event ID, but this event has a media array of all the different media URLs. And so what we do is in the application code, we're able to prepare the return object to be in the format that we need it to be in, right? That includes, because this table event media has many different rows that are associated to one event inside of event data. And so And so we do this at the application code. And so okay, so very concisely explain what's happening, because I know in our request we have a limit 50 flag, but it's not actually executing a query to only return 50 results. Can you confirm that? Hey, Kartik. Yeah, I got inspired actually, and I just want to call out a few different vibe coders that I've watched. So Bridgemind, Dio Burin, and he's had experience at as a developer at different large organizations. I think he has a really great chill stream. There's Stephen Blum, and he is another streamer. He doesn't vibe code, but he's someone who really understands how to he's involved in a large organization, understands distributed systems, and understands like some the deep fundamentals of technology, and really a really hardcore developer. Then you've got another guy, I think Enterprise Vibe Coder, who I've enjoyed watching, and Ray Fernando, I think's another guy. I'm missing one, and I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, then I watch him every morning. I forget his name's Steven. I forget his last name though. Let me see. But yeah, so Bridgemind, I had seen Bridgemind and I was impressed and I was inspired, and I've been active in that chat. My only thing with Bridgemind, I'm not going to talk about this long, but I remember Bridgemind mentioning that he had a previous exit, I think, in the therapy business, and he had a lot of resources from that exit. And I was under the assumption that because he had resources, there was no need to try to do kind of this money grab fundraising effort. My only beef with the coin is that what I think happened is, number one, it looks like the Bridgeman kind of kept all the moderators, delayed the announcement of the coin, right? So looked like he was aware of the coin, and he delayed the announcement of the coin long enough for the insiders to snipe it, right? And so I think he put 10K into the liquidity pool, right? He puts 10K into the liquidity pool, and the liquidity pool, every time people buy, money goes into the liquidity pool. Every time they sell, money comes out of the liquidity pool, right? But it looks like he delayed the announcement of and I'm not an expert on this. I'm kind of new to crypto, but it looks like he number one, he had a bunch of moderators. And remember that crypto's not a regulated security, but fraud is still illegal, right? So he had all these moderators, and some of these guys are in the chat now. And again, happy to have you guys. And I'm not going to talk about this long. I don't want to beat up Bridgemind. Part of me thinks that he got outsmarted by these crypto guys, but he put 10K in the liquidity pool. He delayed the announcement, I guess, of the coin. He delayed the announcement long enough and I don't know who's involved, but it looks like a bunch of people came and sniped the coin. So the top 10 holders own more than 50% of that coin. Now here's the thing. I think Bridgeman, he burned the liquidity pool, which is a noble thing to do, and that shows that he's not going to rug pull. But what happens is there's a lot of artificial trading volume happening, and when artificial trading volume is happening, that's artificially raising the price of the coin. So like I heard Bridgemind on the last chat say, yeah, when it was at the peak, I could have sold for 100K. But what he's not telling you is that the liquidity pool, he only has $10,000 in the liquidity pool. So if he had sold at that high valuation, it would have drained the liquidity pool and the price would have crashed to zero. But here's the catch, is that even though he burned that liquidity pool, what happens is all of the artificial trading volume is artificially rising the price of the token. And then when you get these innocent, and I guess life is a zero-sum game, and if you buy a coin, you're taking risk, right? But what I don't like is it could have been some young guy in the bridge mine community. But when you get these new buyers, they'll start buying the coin at this artificial price, right? And then their money, as they're buying the coin at this artificial price, their money's going into the liquidity pool. But what's happening is these crypto dudes are, as soon as that money goes into the liquidity pool, they're immediately draining it out, right? And so what happens is you get all these guys that bought a coin in good faith, and they're not going to be able to sell that coin, right? Or it's not a fair game. And where he's kind of skating the thin gray line here is that where he's skating the thin gray line this is where it goes into fraud territory. I heard him and I'm not going to accuse him. I want to be clear. This is not an accusation. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I think that these guys might have outsmarted the bridgeman. I think they might have outsmarted the bridgeman and told him, hey, dude, if you burn it, it's good. You're on the up and up. And he might not know that all these guys came in and sniped it, and now they're slowly draining the liquidity pool as new buyers come in. But anyways, I kind of forgot where I was going there with it. But, okay, well, here's where it gets into the fraud territory. And where this is actually me trying to help bridge mine, honestly. But I think that, like on the last stream, he said that, oh, I didn't tell the mods, because why am I going to tell them to get rich or something? And number one, you don't really want to be telling anyone that you're going to get rich off this, because they're taking a risk. I mean, that borderline into market manipulation. And this is kind of what the market manipulation is, okay, well, why didn't you tell the mods? Well, you didn't tell the mods because you were waiting for the insiders to snipe it, right? And then once the insiders sniped it, then they start the artificial trading volume, and they're artificially spiking the price. And then you delayed the announcement until the price was artificially high. Then once you make the announcement, then you see the new buyers coming in, and they're buying at that artificially high price. And BridgeMine says, oh, I could have sold it at the high valuation, right? But he only had $10,000 in the liquidity pool. If he sold it for $125K, he just would have drained all $10K out of the liquidity pool, and he would have walked away with $10K. Once the liquidity pool is drained, there's no more, you can't sell your coin, right? It's hard to find a buyer. But anyways, I'll get off of that topic. But that's kind of my thoughts on the bridge mine. And I even told him, I just got caught by surprise. I'm not super anti-crypto. It kind of seemed like he just needed some funding, right, to keep this going. And I had no idea that the investors he's been talking about are like the crypto guys, I guess. The venture capital people or the crypto people. Jose, in Matt's defense, who knows? He might actually be thinking he was trying to do something noble by burning the coins. And I don't know, man. He might have got outsmarted by them, and he might not understand the dynamics of like sniping the coin and all of this, right? And I actually asked ChatGPT. Let me see if I can pull it up. And then I'm gonna stop beating the guy up, because I'm still kind of a fan of the guy. Let me see. Let's see if I can. So this is kind of, guys, and this is the last, I won't speak about this much more after this, but, so pretty much like, let me see if I can, so this is pretty much the deal, right? So LP burn does not protect buyers. So burning the liquidity pool only means the liquidity pool tokens cannot be removed. It does not stop large holders from selling into the pool. If supply is concentrated, those wallets can still dump and drain buyers. So he was the top holder at 20%, and he burned it, right? So he didn't drain it. But the top 10 are holding, I think, 48%. If you go to Solana Scan, you can see 48%. Here's what a healthy launch looks like. Top 10 is usually under 20 to 25% total. No single wallet owns more than 5 to 8%. And if you look on the Solana blockchain, they're strategically doing this by using many different wallets so it doesn't look like a coordinated insider buy operation. And then it goes, this pattern strongly suggests a snipe. One wallet instantly grabs a huge chunk at launch. And then let me see. I have another chat that I'm gonna try to find. Pretty much he let the insiders position themselves before he announced it to you guys, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. Let me see. I'm just gonna say, explain how even if they burn the liquidity pool, that they will slowly drain the liquidity pool as new buyers come in. Exactly. Or explain different liquidity pool sizes and how they will slowly drain it and how much money they can make from draining it. Be very concise. I mean, essentially every time new buyers come in and put money in the liquidity pool, these guys are slowly selling. People buy, they sell it immediately, drain it out, right? So, and this, I found a better description, but that's kind of how it works, right? And now in Bridgemind's defense, he may not have understood this. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get off that topic. So let's go back to pagination. Let's see. So the code fetches everything from the database first, then throws away the extra rows in Java. Limit 50. The backend ignores the limit and runs this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into plan mode. Okay, I want you to build a plan. We need to make sure that we're not fetching all the results. We only need to fetch 50 results at a time. Assume the identity of a principal engineer at Google. I want you to take a simple approach to this. Okay, so now we're going to plan mode. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's how it works, right? And who knows, Bridge might have, needed the funding, right, to continue going, to continue on his mission. Still, is it illegal? No, it's not a regulated security. Does it feel a little icky? Kinda. But life is a zero-sum game, I guess, and, there's risk involved in everything you do. I got a little frustrated by it because when I was younger and less experienced, I made some decisions in the market, and and I lost money, right? And so I know that there's a lot of young people out there that just don't understand, right? And those are the ones that are getting taken advantage of, and that's what I don't like. So you know, Patrick, I've helped people get H-1B visas. I've worked with a lot of guys from India, and they always tell me that GPS tracking would never work in India. Like, no tracking of vehicles in a million years, it would never happen. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but let me see. So optimization plan. As a principal engineer, I recommend the fetch IDs then data pattern. Events to media without exploding memory usage. Query top 50 event IDs. Join media. In-memory grouping. Okay. This in-memory grouping is not the most scalable thing, but it's okay. Refactor SQL query, the simple approach. The new structure. So then we're filtering events by time. We get a true count. Grab the exact 50 IDs we need. Then fetch all the event media rows for those 50 IDs. I'm gonna say, ask me questions. Will we need to modify the front end request? I know we won't, but figured I'll just ask. And guys, please follow, like, and subscribe. Yeah, Jose, I saw that spider guy. I looked on Solana Scan, and I saw him there too. I mean, the guy must have needed the funding pretty bad, because, you know, for him to just walk away. And you guys, I had seen, you know, you guys in there since day one, you know, Linuxy thing, all you guys, right? And I wouldn't even have been, and I got to stop talking about it, but I wouldn't even have been kind of a little thrown off if he said that he had made enough money from the therapist exit to hold him over for a few lifetimes, right? And then, you know, so that's what kind of made me. And then he was saying he wasn't going to get involved in crypto, so I thought, hey, you know, this guy has resources. You don't need some quick 20K quick funding, right? You know, and right now, you know, I'm not sure. The funding might just be to pay salary to keep going, right? So, hey, Mohammed. Hey, and hey, Peace. How are you? Hey, Peace. I'm doing good. Glad to have you here. And everyone that's heard this before, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize in advance, but and I won't go too deep on this, but pretty much we have a telematics video, so we have dash cameras and vehicles. We're doing mapping, so we have 3D objects on a map. This is Three.js on top of Google. We have position history. So you can see different trip reporting, different events for these different trips. You can set up geozones. So anytime there is an arrival or departure, you can get alerts. You can request footage. So request footage and the camera will return footage over the air without having to wait for the camera to get back and pull SD card. It'll return the footage over the cell network. And we got reporting, right? So we got critical event report, idling report, stop report. And this is really for anyone that has a fleet of vehicles. Any business that has fleets of vehicles that's thinking about optimization or safety. So we have all these different events, DSM distraction. So the camera records events at the edge, like driver state monitoring distraction, driver state monitoring fatigue, hard brake, quick acceleration, hard turn, shock, severe shock, cigarette. And so we can see all these different events. And, oh, that's me in McDonald's. A late night trip there. And then, so that's reporting. We also have like the idling report, right? So if I want to say, okay, was I idling at all in the month of January for at least 4 minutes? I can click generate. It looks like I wasn't. Let's try the last month. Let's try December to January 1st. Okay, so I was idling in these different locations for at least 4 minutes. Then we have a stop report too, and the geozone report. Then we have alerts, right? So real-time alerts, and this is where I can add a geozone alert if I wanted. So anytime a vehicle went in and out of the geozone, anytime there's idling, anytime there's speeding. And why this is difficult is because I have a ton of devices in the field, and these devices are all sending real-time data, and I have to keep that data in sequential order, because if the data is not in sequential order, it will, these real-time alerts won't work. Then we have scheduled reports, and then we have coaching. So in coaching, we take these events that get triggered at the edge, and then we're using, and I vibe coded this, so we're using open source models, right, to do object detection and depth estimation. So we're looking for relevant objects, or objects that are very close to the vehicle and might be important to consider, right? So we're really trying to find like the frames in the video that are the most critical, most important frames, and why were they important frames. And then we're building a 3D simulation of the event, right? So this is moving at a relative speed. So you can see here, this vehicle actually slows down as it hits the corner. Now what this does is, if I have a vehicle that's on the other side of the United States and it got in an event, this allows me to kind of, without being at the scene of the event, quickly get better context about the event. And because I need to take action, I might need to talk to the cops, I might need to give some information to my insurance company. I need to know, is my driver at fault here? Is he not at fault? Right? Do I need to maybe settle this outside of court? You know, is this going to be a case I'm going to have to fight in court? What happens in this business a lot is, even if a driver is innocent, if you don't have a record showing that your driver's innocent, you know, you can bleed your entire, or you can essentially go out of business from just the legal fees. So if you get sued by someone else saying that you were at fault, but you weren't at fault, you still got to hire a lawyer and defend yourself in court. But this is a way where, hey, peace. So if you like vibe coding, you know, this is the place to be. And I was able to do a lot of this vibe coding, and you can go check out my previous streams and kind of see how I got here. So then we build a report. So we build this report, we build a snapshot of different objects that we detected, and then a shared action plan and some questions for the driver. And then the idea is distribute this learning content in real time. So then we also have face detection to detect drivers, right? And this was just me testing here. But pretty much when you get into the vehicle, it takes a picture of your face and tries to identify who the driver is. So that's one business. And then we have the agent's business here, where I can say, what do you see in the bottom right image? Now I'm going to show you guys something. If I go to settings and I go to content protection and click save, this liquid glass is about to disappear and you guys won't be able to see it. See how it just disappeared from the live stream? You can't see it. If I uncheck this and click save settings, it populates again. So it's invisible when you want it to be invisible, right? Then I took a screenshot of all of my monitors, and then I said in the bottom right section I can see, I said bottom right. I'm gonna say, what about the bottom left image? And I have a voice agent, and we set it up with the OpenAI chained architecture. So OpenAI chained. Let me see if I can use Atlas to show you guys this. Might be kind of cool. Okay, so if I go to, let's go to OpenAI chain. Oop, it's a huge typo. Man, can't type right now. Hold on. Or they have a real-time API of some sort. Okay. Voice agents. Okay, so here so in the past, I built a voice agent, and I didn't demo it on the last stream, I don't think, but it might have been the stream before. I forget. But I built a voice agent with this chained architecture, right? Where you take in the audio, then you do speech to text, then you use a text-based model to handle tool calling and handoff, and then you do text to speech, and then you push that out to agents. So I integrated all this with Twilio, and really that's what my website, and we're going to be updating the website more, but really the idea with the voice agent is to handle marketing qualified leads, right? So the idea is that companies will do marketing campaigns, so they'll do pay-per-click. Sometimes they'll just do social media ads. However they generate, we call them MQLs. You got marketing qualified leads, then you got sales qualified leads, SQLs, right? And that's kind of the qualification before you get a direct sales rep to reach out. So the idea is maybe a couple things. So you could have marketing qualified leads, so people that have already, not a cold call, but people that have already requested information. Then as soon as we generate that marketing qualified lead, we'd reach out with a voice agent. And with the voice agent, we're keeping it, we're not trying to sell you with a voice agent, right? It's just simply, it hooks up to the sales rep's Google Calendar availability. It would try to confirm, because a lot of times what happens is you'll get an MQL, and then that MQL comes in, and the guy, for some reason, even though he filled out the form, he just says, I'm not interested. And it's very confusing why they even filled out the form to request information, but we could confirm, okay, are you actually interested? Okay, if you're interested, let's try to schedule you on a calendar availability. Let me get your email address so we can have this, or your phone number, or we have the phone number, but let me get your email or the best contact. And we can send an SMS to try to collect that. And then say he says, I want to talk to a human right now. We could do handoff, seamless handoff to a human. Also, if you've ever called an enterprise company, it'll say like, press 1 for Bob, press 2 for Joe, press 3 for Frankie. And with the voice agent, you can just call, and instead of having to wait through that menu where it's saying press 1 for this, press 2, and then if you forget, you got to let it play again, right? But the idea with this is to just, you could just say, hey, I need to talk to Frank, and it'll do that intent classification, immediately hands you off to Frank the human. Yeah, so for mapping, it's Google Maps and Three.js, and then it's in Next.js, TypeScript. Three.js is an overlay on top of Google Maps, and they have a pretty good integration, and so I'm able to take 3D objects with Three.js and overlay them on top of Google Maps, which is pretty cool. So then we also built the authentication service. So let me show you that. Oh, there. So then we built this authentication service where, let's get out of plan mode. Oh, shift tab. Why can't I switch plan mode? Okay. So then we built this authentication service here where we where pretty much the way that this works is we set up Google OAuth, right? Let me see if I can get it to Well, I don't know if this was okay, so I'm going to say, okay, I want you to delete all the data out of Redis and Postgres. Okay, so let's delete this data. Nice. So when I refresh this, we'll see. Okay, so what's about to happen is I'm using Google OAuth to sign in, and this is all the things that we've been working on in the last few streams. But I use Google OAuth to sign in. I click my email. I click allow. Then boom. Now what happens is, okay, I want you to check Redis and Postgres for any information in Redis and Postgres. I built a stateless authentication service in Go that's essentially ready for horizontal scaling across many different replicas and ready to be deployed on AWS Spot instances. So here you can see, just from us doing Google OAuth, we're able to put a record into the organizations table and also the account table. And then we're able to take a session and put the session into Redis. And so that's how we're keeping this system stateless. And I'm going to be deploying this system on Kubernetes, right? So the idea is eventually the authentication service, we're going to set it up with these replicas, right? And then we'll put a load balancer in front of it, and then we're going to run it on AWS Spot instances. So if AWS ever decides to interrupt our workload, we're just going to reschedule the workload on a new node. And that's kind of the idea with that. And guys, please subscribe and like the video. It helps a lot. Helps kind of push this content out to new people. So if you're interested in like vibe coding, B2B stuff, and I also have a community, I'll just plug it in here. This is not the official, you got to put this in the browser. You got to put that in your browser, and that will work. I'm using AWS Route 53, and that will redirect you to the Discord link. So let me put that in Twitch too. So guys, if you're interested in a community of technical people just sharing ideas, you can join right there. And I might get you guys the actual link too, in case you just want to do it straight from inside Discord. So let's see. So here's another link. I think that's the official link. Let's go to it. Yeah, so if you guys want to join a community, I'm trying to build this Blue Cactus AI community of just really anyone that's interested in technology, coding, agentic coding, vibe coding, Kubernetes systems, deploying like production-ready applications that can scale. This is kind of the things that I'm thinking about, which language to use, when and why to use that language. So really thinking through all these different kind of things. So anyways, back to the pagination. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so here's our pagination plan. And you know what I might do is, so in our I might try to run make a plan with a couple models here. So I'm going to go to my I'm going to show you guys my agents.md. Where is it? Hold on. I don't have an agents.md here yet. It's okay. I have it in the, for now, we'll just go with one plan. Tomorrow, I gotta set it up with submodules. In this other repository, I have an agents file And the agents file says this. Let me see. Okay, so the agents file, and I'm going to be working on two guys like skills, hooks, rules. I'm kind of slowly doing that. But in my case, so I have all these, I have these different services here, and you can't see that, I guess, but I have, and I need to maybe make my head and stuff smaller, but I have these different services that are, it's a multi-repo setup. So I have here in my agents file, all subdirectories or services. Always update submodules to the latest head before committing changes. When creating a new cursor work tree, run the following to initialize services. Git submodule update. And this updates. Hey, Atha, I know, it's pretty cool, for sure. Hey, Shkabu. So I'm planning on, you know, you have a good point there. You know, I think if you're building a prototype, you know, you definitely could build a prototype, not think about this stuff, and then once you get customers, refactor it. But I'm in no rush, you know, to do this. So that's why I'm trying to do it the right way from the beginning. And I'm also trying to deploy on AWS Spot instances. It's like an 80 to 90%, I think 70 to 80% reduction in cost. Hey, Osiris, how are you? And yeah, Osiris, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna go. I know you just joined, but really just a lot of new people in the stream, just been talking about what we're working on and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of how I use work trees and submodules to keep all of these as their own repository. But anyways, back to pagination. I just asked Gemini 3 Pro to ask me questions. I don't think so. Okay, so I think, well, first I'm going to say, okay, I want you to run git status in this repository and see if there's any changes that we need to stage or commit. So I'm going to have it do run git status here. I don't think it's not in the right repository. Okay, so the parent directory is not a git repo right now. And you guys, I need to maybe make my face a little smaller. We'll do that on the next stream. So I'm going to say, no, you need to go into the report service and then run git status. We need to make these modifications in the report service, right? All of the subdirectories are their own individual Git repositories and services. Okay, so we're on a branch called driver name and critical events. So now I'm going to say, okay, I want you to check out to the main branch and then pull from the main branch. Okay, so we just pulled from the main branch. Oh. Okay, nice. We just pulled all the changes from the main. Now, let's see. Yeah, I think Google. I'm not that familiar with anti-gravity. I think it started as windsurf. There were some acquisitions that happened along the way. I think Google got licensing rights in the windsurf team. So I think they're working through a lot of that stuff, but they have they have a competitor to Cursor, and I think Google's a pretty large organization. I think it takes them time. Once they, OpenAI really penetrated the consumer market, and really hit the market first. And so I think Google was maybe waiting for someone else to break into the market because they're protecting their search business, right? But as soon as they saw OpenAI really get kind of those network effects where everyone was using it to figure out how to bake chicken, I think that's when they started revving up the engine, right? And I think I can tell from Gemini 3 Pro and Gemini Flash, it's not there yet. Oh, look, it started building the plan. Hold on. Hold on, let me undo this. See, I didn't tell Gemini 3 Pro. All I did was tell it to pull from main, and then it started making the changes. I'm going to say undo. I'm going to say, hold on, I didn't tell you to make changes yet. We need to check out to a new branch with an appropriate name. Yeah, so hey, 123. And guys, please subscribe and like the video if you haven't already, or follow on Twitch. It helps a lot. And I want to say thanks again to Midnight Simon. I'm definitely going to be checking out your stream after this. I really appreciate it. You rated my Twitch stream with 31 people, which is pretty cool. But anyway, so 123. So my thoughts on it right now is Codex CLI for very complicated debug. I found it to be very good at very complex debugging. Opus 4.5, when I'm working on my production system and I have to be precise and fast, pretty much when I open up Kubernetes for my production system and there's some problem going on or some issue, I don't even think about another model right now because I need the model to be precise and fast with Opus 4.5. Gemini 3 Pro is the best at front end. So Opus 4.5, precise, fast, hallucinates the least. Gemini 3 Pro, very good at front end, very good at big system thinking, but has some sort of resource issue. A lot of times when I'm using it, when I really want to use it, it either will like have some sort of resource issue where I get that message in Cursor that the vendor is busy, or the LLM provider is busy, and so sometimes it's not easy for me to. It kind of breaks me out of my flow. But Gemini 3 Pro for front end, and then like models like Gemini 3 Flash or Haiku, these are good. Maybe say you build the plan and then you want to save token cost. Like right here, I built a plan. It's not hard for like Gemini 3 Flash to read through the plan and then go implement this plan. But I found Gemini 3 Flash, if I just need to like run some Git commands, run some Kubernetes commands, and kind of do some basic stuff, it's fast, and so there's less reasoning, and it's good for that. I'm trying to think of what else. Composer 1, they have it priced at the same as GPT 5.2, and it's really close in intelligence, faster, and really comprehensive, but it's kind of like an untamed horse, in my opinion. And then you got GPT 5.2 extra high, which is really good at reasoning, I've found. So that's kind of my thoughts. I really like DeepSeek. I like the DeepSeek, the way DeepSeek was reasoning. I don't know if they used some mixture of experts, or the way that DeepSeek was reasoning, I really was enjoying, but it looks like Cursor doesn't allow DeepSeek to do tool calling. So it's kind of hard to use. Hey, Flash. How are you? Thanks for being here. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I'm not, I've heard about all this Ralph stuff. And, for me, to be honest, when I have, and I know that this stuff's going viral, right? Like if I open up, um, and I know Claude, I think lets you like launch multiple agents. I'm not sure. I haven't used Claude Code, but lets you launch multiple agents inside of the same terminal window. But like for me, if I open up, if I like open up Codex in all these terminals, for me personally, it's hard for me to hold the context in my head, to be honest. So like one of the things I need to do is I need to do this. So driver ID scheduled reports. So I need to like deploy this to production. So I could be like, I could have one agent say, hey, I need you to go review the modifications we made to implement scheduled reports. I want you to run git log and run it very far back. It's been a long time since we implemented this. And look for any commits that were related to the scheduled reports change. This is a staging server that's a clone of my production system. Any files that have been modified, I just need the blocks of code, but any new files, completely new files I need to add, just give me the exact file name and where I can find that file, and I can copy and paste it myself. Now, I need to set, I right now have this issue where I have a staging server and a production server in two different repos, and there's been a little bit of drift. And so I kind of need to reset up my workspace. Because like right now when I have to migrate, I'm doing it very delicately, and I need to set up my Git in a better way. And I already needed to do this because I'm doing a multi-repo setup with Git submodules, because I have to have separate repos for the microservices. Hey, cool, Osiris. So I could like say one agent do this. Oh, that's Google talking to me. So then I could say, okay, I need to migrate the driver ID changes to production. I want you to look at the Git log and go look for any commits that were related to driver ID. Any new files that we need to add, just give me that file location and the name of the file. Any code blocks that we need to add, or any files that were modified, I need the exact code blocks. This is a clone system, staging server, a clone of production. I need you to prepare and help me migrate these changes to production. So I don't know. I mean, I can only run, I need to say, bluecactus.ai is not a Git repository, but every subdirectory is its own repository and service. It's hard for me to like, and I know that this is maybe the future. If the models get very intelligent, all of these agents, you can have many different agents working in the background autonomously. But in my personal opinion, I just think it's a little too early. I think it burns a lot of tokens. And like whoever said in chat, if I'm watching what's happening, it's way easier for me. You save so many tokens. If I'm like in Cursor, I'm watching the diffs. I'm watching the diffs, and when I'm watching the diffs and I'm pausing that agent. As soon as I see it moving in the wrong direction, pause it and correct it and re-steer it, right? And so, without doing that, it can really start driving outside the curves. That's the way I'll put it. And guys, please like and subscribe and follow if you haven't already. Also, there's a Discord. It's up earlier in the chat, discord.bluecactus.ai. I have that redirect set up in Route 53. So the way that works is you got to put that in your browser URL bar. It'll redirect you to the Discord invite. If you just want to put the exact Discord invite into Discord, you can put discord.bluecactus.ai into your browser, and it will redirect you to the Discord link. And then you can just copy that Discord link and then put that into Discord. But guys, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Be right back, guys. Hey guys, I'm back. It wasn't a coffee break, it was a bathroom break. Okay, so now let's go back to cursor. And, okay, so I'm going to tell it to check out to a new branch. At least it apologized. And one thing, guys, about LLMs that's really incredible, multiple checks is kind of silly for me. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know the future, brother. I also got inspired by you. I'm new to this vibe pudding. I got to know this ain't a made it sound like one shot through this. Awesome part. That makes me feel good, and that's why I do it. You know, and so I learned a lot from a lot of smart people, and I'm really just trying to return the favor, honestly, because it makes me feel good. So, and I'm trying to build businesses together. And I think, community, for a long time, I was not a Discord guy. I didn't really understand the power of community. But, as soon as I started engaging in finding other streamers, other people interested in the same thing, the learning is just so accelerated. It's incredible, and that's why the community is really amazing. So I'm going to say, yes, check out and create that new branch. And what we might do is what we're going to do is I'm going to take this plan and I'm going to save it to the workspace. So I'm going to click here and click save to workspace. Boom. Now I'm going to go into Ghosty and let's just do a new split down. Let's just do a new window completely. Hold on. Let's put this new window here. And hopefully you guys I'm making sure you can see that. Okay, you can see that. So I'm going to say, I could have just stayed in plans, but let's open up Codex. Okay, I want you to review the cursor plan related to the pagination fix. I want you to review that plan and then go review the code inside of the report service. And I want you to let me know if this plan makes sense and if this approach will work. And guys, using multiple agents, I mean, this is kind of the same thing as just bringing in like a different person. If you're working at an organization and you need new eyeballs or new eyeballs on something, or pretty much just new eyes, right? It's kind of the same thing to bring in Codex and have it come check this, right? Obviously it's not a human, but it's smart enough to give you help you think through things. And guys, again, please like and subscribe. Anyone that's here from Midnight Simon, thanks for being here. That was completely unexpected, that raid on Twitch, so I really, really appreciate that. I don't need it to run git submodules. No, we're not working in work trees, but I guess should we pull in the latest head using submodule? Actually, for now, just CD into reports and then just review the code like that. I'll explain submodules on the next stream and why we use them. And then we'll deploy this plan, and then we're going to see if we should be able to execute that query from the front end. And this might be the last thing that we do on today's stream, but we should be able to execute that query. And then it should only return 50 results to the front end if the pagination works as expected. Oh, I have it in the wrong repository. Man, I'm dumb. Okay, hold on. Okay, I want you to look at the cursor plan that's related to pagination and then review that plan. Then I want you to review the code inside of the reports directory. And I want you to confirm that the approach that we have detailed in the plan will work as expected. Cool. All right, let me bank these. Oh, cool. Yeah, I maybe need to set that up, Osiris, as like a command or maybe a hook or something. I need to think about that. I know Cursor has commands. And guys, there's this article, if anyone is using Cursor, and I know not everyone's using Cursor, there's this article called Best Practices for Coding with Agents, and it's a really incredible, if you're using Cursor, it's a really great article. It describes how if you do want to... you can use rules, skills. There's something called command. Here's you can use hooks to kind of do what they're doing with Ralph. Here's Git workflows. So you can use commands. So what are you doing? Oh, cool. Yeah, Osiris. Put it in the Discord if you don't mind. Okay, cool. So anyways, that's a good article. So let's see. Codex is still working on it. And got out to more people. Really, this is just about building community. Anyone that's interested in building a business, learning how to code, anyone that's maybe in like an entry-level white-collar job that has some concern about has any concern about maybe their job changing in an aggressive way, and maybe feeling like they need to learn more about technology and the things that are coming with AI. So anyone, it doesn't matter if you're technical, non-technical. I don't discriminate by skill level. There's no question is dumb question, right? I think as a community, we'd like to expect everyone to try to do some due diligence on your own, simply because hold on, guys, I think we're having some sort of streaming issue. Interesting. That's the first time that's happened. Let's check our internet speed. Okay, stream's back, I think, guys. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to Codex. Let's go to Ghosty. Okay. Codex. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's what it said about our plan. So stream's back healthy. Let's say. So here we go. Let's see. The plan should work as expected and reduces transferred rows to the requested page of events plus their media. Open questions. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna just copy these over to cursor. Let's go back to cursor. Okay, so we're still in plan mode. Let's go back into plan mode. And hopefully it doesn't create a new plan since I saved this plan to the workspace. But let me paste this in. And I'm going to say, I'm going to grab this plan ID. I don't know, I've had an issue in the past or let's just see if we can find it. Can you review the plan again? I had another agent review the plan and it gave me some of these considerations. But I don't want to get overly complicated. I want to keep this simple. But review these considerations and give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts before you make any changes to the plan. Okay, so it said, if two events happen at the exact same millisecond, or if we sort by event type and have 50 break events, we should address both. Okay. I still don't understand this part really. Can you explain how if there was 50 break events that the results might not get returned in an appropriate order? Help me understand that. Okay, cool. Hey, Saint, thank you. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you for the kind words. Imagine you have 100 break events. If you run a query with order by event time and nothing else. Oh, we're ordering, they're all just break. Okay, I get it. Okay, I want you to review the plan, or create a new plan with these considerations, or try to review and edit the existing plan. I think it's not going to be able to do it because I saved it to the workspace. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, nice, it did it. Okay. All right, so let's just briefly skim this one more time. So guys, I'll show you one more time here before we do this. When I run this report, the issue is if I go to run it for a full month, if I run it for a full month here, so you can see if I come here, I can't. Okay, it returned 523 rows here, guys. 523. If I come down here, it's got 523, and then it's showing rows. So it should have only returned 50 results. But instead it returned 523 results. And you can imagine that if I have some customers that have a ton of data, hey, Osiris, I actually addressed that early. Someone asked me, and I know it's kind of a pain in the butt to like go rewind the stream, but I gave my thoughts on that, and I explained it the best that I can. But definitely don't. I don't need right now. I'm earning income from this business, and that's how I'm able to survive and do this. And so that's how I'm able to be on live stream right now on a Wednesday at 2:48 p.m. Right. So, definitely, I'm interested in building businesses and trying to get successful. But, I've been through the whole thinking about angel investors, Series A, thinking about safe investments, thinking about Y Combinator, making a corporation, distributing the shares, having a partner, trying to get investors. And like one thing that I don't want to do is I'm not going to be taking on funding, at least for now, at any point. I really don't want a bunch of dudes on the board that I have to go persuade them to keep my job. But yeah, I'm earning an income from this business, and so that's what's allowing me to do this right now. Anyway, so we're about to implement this. Let's see. Let me go to cursor. So okay, and I just want to confirm that we'll still show the total count, so we can show 1 through 50 of the total count. I want to make sure that's going to work as expected on the front end. So I want to make sure that it returns the total count of all the rows available for this time range, because then it'll show 1 of 50 of 523 total rows. It's asking me. I don't know. I'm not sure. You need to go figure that out. Okay, so the new changes in this plan won't change this. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, we're gonna go ahead and, so we're on the new branch, right? So we just checked out. Let's go into CD reports, the service, and then let's run git status. Nice, so we modified this change. Or what is this change? Hold on. Huh. Okay, run git status. It looks like there's some changes. We probably just need to restore this file right back to the original state, and then we'll execute the plan. Oh no, it made changes. I'm like, why did it make changes? I didn't execute the plan yet. Oh, okay, let me click undo. Let's run git status again. It does that. So that's Gemini does that sometimes. Now let's do git status. Okay, now we're on a clean working tree. Now I'm gonna click build. Boom. Oh, we did it with Codex. No. Okay, I want to do it with Gemini 3 Pro. Now let's do build. Okay, up here, Pro, Gemini 3 Pro. Gotcha. Let's build this now. Boom. Okay, cool. Hey, Master Mage. Hey, Sniper. So we're working on telematics video business, and I'll very quickly, because I'm in the middle of doing something now, but telematics video business, we have dash cameras in vehicles. We have a mapping system helping us do mapping. All of this data, or this is Three.js overlaid on top of Google Maps, and this is a 3D object sitting on the map. We also have trip reporting history, so we can see all these different trips, any event that happened during the trip. We can look at this event, expand it, see the event, make it full screen. Here you can see my left eye was closed, my right eye was closed, and so I was a bit distracted in this video. And what we do is we take this data, and then we're doing a post-analysis on it, an AI post-analysis, where we're doing object detection and depth estimation. So we're looking for relevant objects in the event, trying to determine, okay, is this a false positive? Is it a real event? And what happened during this event, right? So here it's getting, and one of the things we might do on this channel is maybe start trying to label and annotate data, because right now this pre-trained model is getting my seatbelt as a handbag. It's like that's one of the things we might work on, is try to get that, instead to say handbag, it should be saying seatbelt. But we maybe need to annotate and label a bunch of images with seatbelts, or maybe take pictures of me with my seatbelt on, annotate, label it, create synthetic data, and then use that to train. And that's kind of one of the things I want to try to do this year. But so this is object detection at depth estimation. And then we have 3D simulation of the event moving at a relative speed. Oh, cool. Moving at a relative speed. And then we have these reports, right? So we identify, okay, what's the safety focus of this event? Give me the event snapshot. And then we're coming up with dynamic learning content to try to distribute it to drivers in real time. And we vibe coded this actually. So you can go look at the previous streams and you'll see how we got here. And then we have driver ID. We also vibe coded this. And this is when you get into the vehicle, it takes a picture of the driver's face and does face detection to try to determine who the driver is. Now, the thing is sometimes you may be in a lighting condition, or I'll have my head turned to the left or the right. And it'll be hard to try to match that picture with another driver's picture. And so, you know, if we can't find a match, then we populate that picture here, and the end customer will come say, hey, you know what? This driver is Justin Bieber. I see his face. This is Justin Bieber, and we link it. And then every time this ID comes back into the system, we know, okay, that's Justin Bieber. And then, you know, obviously we got geozones. So you can record arrive and departs from geozones. We have footage, so you can request footage over the cell network without a vehicle being at your yard. All types of reporting, real-time alerts, and scheduled reports. So this is telematics video. And then I've got this liquid glass thing that I just worked on. So this is going to be a sales and support copilot. I can take a picture of just my screen here. Take that picture and say, what do you see in this picture? Or I could say, so it's saying I see Mac OS and it's seeing my portal or this web app, right? Or I could go, I want to grab, and let me make sure my voice sounds a little weird. Okay, I think we're good. Or I could say, all right, I want to capture all four screens. So we just captured, I got to fix this styling, but I just captured all 4 monitors. What do you see on these screenshots? And the idea with this is we're going to build like a context awareness engine around simple business workflows, which that's just a fancy way of saying you can upload all your business documents, your PDF, any relevant business documents for a sales rep or a support rep, can load it up into a repository. That's just OpenAI chat completion. So the idea is, you know, kind of, it's a sales and support copilot. We want to surface the right insights at the right time in real time. So like one of the things, and I didn't get to it on this stream, and I might have to jump here soon, but one of the things I want to do maybe on the next stream is use like the Whisper, the OpenAI Whisper C++ small model, and package that into this binary. And then I can start doing transcription locally. And then we'll use that transcription, run it against our intent classification or our business orchestration service, try to do some intent classification and try to understand, okay, what are the insights that the sales rep or the support rep, and you got to realize this sales rep, he might be on the call with an end customer and say it's a new sales rep and he doesn't know the price. There's some massive product portfolio. He doesn't know the price for this product, right? This is a quick way for him we can surface this insights inside of this glass overlay, right? Liquid glass. And what's really cool about this is, oh, cool. Oh, nice, Mass Mage. Jules, let me write that down. I guess I could go watch the chat replay. But I could also make this invisible. If I turn on content protection, and you guys are about to see, if I turn on content protection, and I click, and let me shrink this a little so you guys can see it better. But if I turn this on and I click save settings, it's about this liquid glass, you're not going to be able to see it. Watch. I'll click save settings. I'm not live. Let me see. It should have disappeared pretty much, but now I'm gonna make it, I'm just following the live stream. Okay, it disappeared. I'm gonna turn off content protection, and now it should populate again. So the idea with this is that, you know, you can have this while you're in a meeting, and you can be talking with the customer, and pretty much without me having to like crank my head to the left or to the right, I can keep my focus on the customer. And it doesn't really matter, honestly, if you have like a PDF open on one monitor and you're doing a sales call. But it is nice and what I'm thinking is that, and you saw Apple just rolled out liquid glass on their UI. So, we're having this LLMs is the multimodality is incredible, right? Like taking screenshots and going from one format to the other. So I think, I'm kind of following in Google's path here. I saw Google is making the move to liquid glass, and I'm thinking, okay, they probably know something that I don't know. And so, let me try to make this liquid glass product and prepare for the multimodality. So this is liquid glass, and we have a whole voice agents business that I'm going to be demoing the voice agent. We're on the OpenAI chained architecture. This chained architecture, but we're going to be migrating from this chained architecture, which looks like this. So I had built out the agent in this chained architecture, but there was too much latency, right? Like it just, it felt like it felt like a robot, right? It did not, it was just too much latency. And I tried to do a lot of different things to try to reduce that latency. But it was difficult. But we're going to be migrating to this speech-to-speech real-time architecture, where one OpenAI model, instead of having to go from microservice to microservice, is going to be doing a lot of the tool calling without having to hop from microservice to microservice. And so really the idea with this is I'm going to get the voice layer, and these are all the services we have. Let me see. I go to split file, split to the right. Nope, let's go on. Okay, so here you can see these are all the services, right? So you got these Cactus SMS, Cactus Intent. This was handling the intent classification. Cactus Text-to-Speech, Cactus Transcriber, Cactus Hotline, Cactus Agents. So this had a lot of business logic. So a lot of that latency was happening because we're having to make HTTP calls from one microservice to the other, and all of this added latency. Yeah, exactly, Osiris. So we're going to be trying to migrate the voice layer. We're going to be using TypeScript for the control plane, and then using like Go where we can for the data plane. Hey, Full by Primes, thanks for being here. And so we're going to try to migrate this voice layer to the real-time OpenAI SDK here to try to see if we can improve this latency. And as we do that, we're going to integrate, and we're going to have a back-end web app, but we're also going to have this liquid glass binary. And really my plan is, and I haven't flushed it all out yet, but my plan is to eventually, and don't hold me to this because it may evolve or it may change, and I'm still thinking through this because I got to understand how I can protect my microservices that I'm not able to open source. But one idea I maybe have is to take, maybe some of this, not the heuristics or some of the deterministic rules that I have, because that's like proprietary to me and my customers' business logic, but maybe building like a framework and a protocol where we can take this away to make it extendable, so anyone that has video could use my tool to ingest video, do some sort of object detection, and then just emit those objects for you, right? And I don't know, and I'm still trying to think of what this exactly is going to be and why it even makes sense to do that. And partly it's because I'm using open source models, and so I want to contribute back. Even though, the technology I'm using has the MIT license, I still want to do that. It's one of the things that I'm interested in. So maybe trying to build some sort of framework where I can take in video from any camera, doesn't matter the camera, and I can help you do some sort of object detection. And I'm still kind of thinking through that. And then also, I have this liquid glass, so I'd like to maybe open source this and the object detection stuff under the GPL. I think it's 3.0, which pretty much means that, hey, it's open source and feel free to use it, and you can use it in your SaaS app. And I need to think through it a little more, but if you distribute it commercially, you may need to open source. If you make modifications and distribute it commercially, you may need to open source that too. And again, I'm still kind of thinking through this, and I'm not, I'm still kind of, like I said, I'm still thinking through this and how I'm going to approach this and do this. And it may take me time to do this because I have to separate and make sure there's a network layer there to protect my microservices that I'm not able to open source from the services that I do want to open source, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the plan. But really, we're going to work on this agents business, move the Google Voice layer over to over to that, not the chained architecture, but the real-time API from OpenAI, build out the business orchestration, make it very flexible, and then have this liquid glass app be a component of that. But anyways, guys, I know I didn't do a ton of code. There's a lot of new people today, so I wanted to try to, the best I can, kind of explain what we're working on to the new people that are in the community. And let me see if I can. And hey, guys, so I'm probably gonna wrap the live stream there. Again, I want to say thank you to anyone that has liked and subscribed so far. It means a lot. If you do want to be part of a community, we have discord.bluecactus.ai. Just put it into your browser and it will redirect you to the Discord link. And it should open up your Discord. If it doesn't, you can copy that URL and paste it into your Discord app. But really just want to build a community of people that are interested in vibe coding, agentic coding, people that are in entry-level white-collar roles that are concerned about job changes or how this AI is going to impact their job, and just learning to get more technical. I don't discriminate on skill level. It doesn't matter if you have zero skill, if you have skill. No dumb question. Feel free to put anything into Discord. But again, so we're working on the telematics video safety products, and we're also working on the agents business. And this is all B2B stuff. But if you're interested in consumer stuff, we'd be happy to have you in the community too. And feel free to post your projects in the community, and we can discuss that. And anyways, I'll see you guys again. I want to thank everyone that has joined the community so far. Anyone that's been watching and enjoying the content, anyone that liked or subscribed or followed, it means a lot. And it should be a pretty fun year, just building out these products and really working together with all of you guys. So thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next stream.